Hi everyone, my name is RBC, the new reporter of Chapter 5 Basic Surveillance. So we are the group 2. So in Basic Surveillance, so we have uh, two units. So first we will tackle the Unit 1, which is Principles and Concept of Surveillance. So under the Unit 1, so first we need to define what is surveillance. So surveillance is defined as the discrete observation of persons, places, and vehicles for the purpose of obtaining information concerning the identities or activities of criminals. A surveillant uh, is a person who conducts the surveillance or performs the observations while a subject is in the subject is the person. Um, Place or vehicle being observed by a surveillant. That is from Manwang 2004. So under the surveillance, so we'll tackle the type of surveillance. So we have two types of surveillance. So we have the covert surveillance, and the second one is the overt surveillance. So in covert surveillance, this is type of surveillance conducted to a subject who is unaware that he or she is under surveillance. In other words, this person is not aware, or she or he not know that he is under investigate. So second, we have the overt surveillance. So this occurs in subjects is aware that he or she under surveillance. In other words, this person or she or he is aware that he know that he's under investigate. Um, Next, so we'll tackle the kinds of surveillance based on the location of the subject. So first, we have fixed surveillance. So fixed, in the name of fixed surveillance is fixed. So this is usually reformed when surveillance is directed to a particular building or premise. The surveillant is immovable in place while observing or his or she subject. And second, we have moving surveillance. So in moving surveillance, in the word moving, it is performed by foot or by use of any transportation vehicle in order to observe the subject. So you need to transport or need transportation. They use vehicle or a car to to go in that place to just like that to investigate in that case or nothing another word investigation na siya. So other of this, so we have shadowing or tailing. So it refers to the act of the surveillant of following his or his subject to detect criminal activities, to establish the association of subject, to find a wanted person, and many other purposes. So next, we have the Rooping or Winstone and Wills in 1997. So, it's a kind of undercover work wherein surveillant assumes different roles and identity in order to obtain information. So, undercover assumes different. So, in roping is what we call the disguise of person to cover her identity that he is or investigator or assassin or a agent, and he want to or she want to investigate the person. So she or he disguise his yang pagkatao ba para di siya mahilang na siya nag-investigate sa tao. Next, purposes of surveillance. Garcia of 2004. So first, to get information of criminal activities as basis or for future raid. So information of criminal, so the information of the place going to be raid sa ilahang kuan lang grupo para sa information para na kay mag-read sila tapos dapat kinahanglan sila information kay dili sila magtaka-taka og read na lang kay masig sila may maunay silang raid sila mamatay unya. So number 2, so to discover the identities of person. Discover the identities of person frequenting the place. So discover nila sa identities mga ilang ko kung unsa dito mga person dito, mga identities mga person dito din. To prevent the commission of crime. So to establish legal grounds for the application of a search warrant. So, to arrest the criminal and flagrant delicto or caught in the act. So, here I want to share to you what are the procedures in fixed surveillance. This is from the Garcia 2004. So, first, use a room nearby house or building. So, second, Use a camera with telephoto lens and powerful binocular or order to get pictures or subject visitors and activities. So just like atong mga lens sa mga camera nga atong tagas na kaayo para makita pa jud mo kinalayuan jud kaayo nga object makita pa gyud siya nimo. So use listening devices on situation allows. So just like naitawo dito nga naibutang mic dito na nakaminaw mo sa unsay pagtabi-tabian nila. Some surveillant may remain outside posing as carpenters, plumbers. So mag-disguise sila, maghimay mo sila mga addict or ana, just like maghimay mo sila mga banday, just like ning ana para maimbestigahan lang nila kung ang crime. So tools and fixed surveillance. Kyle and Agas 2000. So by using binocular, telescope, cameras with telephoto lens. So what I say, da katong daas kay nga kuan lens nga makita jud nimo layo kayo, makita pa ang object, sig layo kay ang object makita nimo siya. So wire taping devices, listening devices o katong mga small devices nga murag something mic kay butang siya dito madunggan sa makidunggan nimo siya murag something nga sample po ng GPS ani niya. In case there is difficulty in wire taping device, says an expert, and lip reading must be employed. So in this proportion, personal appearance of surveillance. So he or she, number one, he or she must be of an average height, build, and general appearance of a person who could easily mingle with the crowd without being conspicuous. So kung magkuan di ang dapat kung magkuan ka sa kuan nimo ano ta ikay mag-investigate or ikay may mong mga personal appearances sa surveillance or investigator. So dapat jud daw kanang karapat nang kuan sakto jud ka ba kay mura jud ka gatanga-tanga lang ana na din. So you need ka nang utukan siya dapat ani. So o kanang medyo sakto jud siya nga dili siya pwede nga makuan siya ka investigator. Dayon, number 2, adapt an inconspicuous clothes and jewelry. So kung imong ibisigan is dato o mas kuan nga na kay mga mga jewelries, you have jewelries, mga necklace or anything else you can kanang makakuan mga dato ka dapat makuan kanila nga na dato siya diay. Number 3, grooming and body accessories must blend with the crowd to avoid unnecessary attraction, attention, or to avoid him her being fixed on the mind of very observant person. So dapat dapat na jud guys sense ani good. So number 4, avoid noticeable and peculiarities and appearance and mannerism. Number 5, he or she must be resourceful, alert, quick-witted, versatile, and to reason out once accused by others. So dapat kung makuan ka murag mahadyo halata ka dapat nabalo na jud ka sa buhaton nga para dili sila magduda sa imuha. So number 6, a good actor by being able to avoid suspension in embarrassing situation. So ang maayo daw nga kuan daw actor may tawag ani mga investigator is able to avoid suspension makalikay sila sa mga pwede ka na kanang something murag na nahalata na jud ko na nasuspikuhan na jud ko nga investigator ko pero nakamulihok-lihok para dili sila magduda sa imuha. Be prepared for a cover story. So dapat kabalo jud ka mamaba kabalo jud ka you know what nang kabalo jud ka kanang unsa ibuhaton nimo para kung magkiunsa magali kabalo na ka mo reason out. So the cover story must be believable regarding his or personal appearance. So dapat makatuhanan dili ka ng mga story magic. If he acts as a vendor, he or she must look as one without the display of manicured fingernails or attire at odds with fictitious personality. So kung magkuan na ka daw as if kag nang maligyaay ka, di jud ka dapat naka jewelry or naka manicure kay makita medyo siya masuspisyuhan pa ka nga dili ka vendor nag-investigate. So this time, so we'll tackle the purposes of foot surveillance. So foot surveillance is kato ni siya maglakaw mo something nanay travel ani to detect pieces of evidence of criminal activities. 2, establish the associates of the subject. 3, to establish places frequented by the subject and his place of operation or temporary residence. 4, to locate a wanted person. So, nanay something trouble anay sa kuan, foot surveillance. To protect witnesses and complainants. So, maprotektahan ang mga nakakita o katong ming file og kaso or complainants. Number 6 is a part of investigation of a certain person for a lawful cause and promotion, appointment, award. And 7, as a form of loyalty check for suspected employees on guards with criminals or shady characters. So this is from Benz and Sherlock 2005. So this time I will share to you what is the don'ts of foot surveillance. So muna yung mga dili pwedeng buhaton nimo. Don'ts. And one, never meet the eyes of the subject to avoid suspicion. So di juga makigway eye to eye. Never met kanang di juga makig sana nang di juga magpa something halata nga kana imong gikuan muna imong gi-focus something nga na ang kuan niya dili ka mapahalata. So avoid larking, slotting, and creeping manner. So avoid ka nang mabastos or something bastos, avoid na siya samta dapat kuan juga gentle. So number 3, don't wear storybook disguises, false whiskers, artificial noses, or scars and fake deformities and the like rarely, if ever, are convincing for any length of time even when worn by a professional makeup artist. So, di jud ako dapat tagani. Kung nakita mo atong sa Cardo, di ba? Nag-aan siya ito, di ba? Di siya mahalata kasi paloma siya, di ba? Di siya mahalata kasi siya nag-wear og mga piki. So nag-aan siya sa mga makeup artist nga dapat kung iyang makeup jud dapat kanang kaaya-aya gyud kana jud matutuhan jud siya kana dili ka mga sa ilong bitan. Mag-aan og fake nga ilong tapos masumbagan ka dito, matangtang ang ilong. Klaro na kay ka nga investigator or surveillance. So you need to you need to use a convincing or any length of time even you're worn a professional makeup artist. So that is the point. So 4, never carry noticeable notebooks, briefcase, or other subjects. So di jud ka madadala og mga katong mga notes nimo nga kani siya diri siya na dapat ani kana diri siya kanang mga notes mo ba nga klaro na kaayo kung maghagbo what if mahagbong to siya. Makita sa uban klaro na kay ka nga investigate ka sa ana nga tawo or ana nga lugar or ana nga suspect. So 5, do not make these entries or notes in your notebooks on ostensibly or displayed publicly. So kung na kay mga something mga mga notes ana niya mga ana dili mo tatakag butang kay pag mawa kana siya pag takatakag sa butang sa public kay kana siya kung makita na siya goodbye. So this point preparing for shadowing. So shadowing ta. So number 1, if the subject is unknown to the surveillant, have somebody point of him or her or obtain a full complete description of the subject. So dapat di juga makakanyo dapat na juga kompleto nga kuan description sa imong ikuan nga subject. And 2, have a complete background if the subject such as habits, hunts, social life, and places frequented. So dapat kung mag-kuan jud daw kanida murag something siya doing murag something nga nag-investigate investigate gyapon ni siya dapat na kay complete background or kung unsa na siya nga subject, unsa na siya nga tawo, unsa na siya nga suspect imong kuanan nga investigaran. So 3, surveillance should adapt his or her attire to conform to the place where or she expects to find the subject. So kuan daw kung adto ka bar dapat magsunina pud ka og pang party kay adto kag bar niya magkuan ka dito mag costume party ka klaro na jud kay kang buang-buang ka no. Dapat kuan jud daw should casual or should kuan kanang dapat kanang kuan fit imong attire dito kung asa lang lugar imong gikuanan imong gi-investigahan. So he or she should be casual or should not be apparently centered on the subject. So dili jud siya magpalahi na something ana. Number 5, study the place and surroundings of the target illustrated in his or her mental map to include transportation, entrance and exits, and communication facilities. Number 6 it is a must that the identity of the subject be known as a start before embarking surveillance. So next, we'll tackle about the methods of foot surveillance. So 1 is a one-man shadow, and 2, two-man shadow, 3, three-man shadower, and ABC technique of shadowing. So in one-man shadow, it is conducted by one man of shadowing and a subject. So in a word of one, so one person only is authorize siya mag-conduct sa shadowing subject. So in two-man shadow, so two person is allowed. This is easier for the surveillance to fully cover the subject, and the three-man shadower, an ABC technique of shadowing. So this is a more than one person, or we call it 3 person. The three shadower are represented as A, B, and C. So the 1 is A, the 2 is B, and C is 3. Excuse me. Advantages of the 3-man shadow or ABC method. So this is advantage of the 3-man or the shadow, 3-man a shadow or ABC method. So the advantage is when the subject becomes suspicious of any of the operative said could quickly drop out of the shadowing. So kung ang kanina si A, diba? Ako si A. Tapos murag something na nahalata na ko, dapat mawala na ko, mukuan ako, mukuan ako sa kuan kay para di na jud kong basig masundan ko tapos masundan ko tapos makitaan pa man duha tapos kuno no tanan dapat kung mahalata ng isa, out na gid siya. Then if subject suddenly turns a corner, may continue straight ahead instead of rushing the corner and anxiously looking for the subject. So, dapat planado ni siya. So, this is the tactics and techniques of shadowing. So, 1, turning corners. In turning corners, the surveillant if the subject turns to a corner. So, 2, entering the building. If the building has no back exit, the surveillant should wait until the subject comes out. So, kung wala mo kita nga na-exit ang kanang fire exit and something exit nga lahi nga mukaan ba metan sa pananitan dili pa sa nang metan sa kuan metan sa hotel tapos ang hotel walay back exit anang walay exitanan sa likod ang exitanan ra og ang entrance isa tubangan ra. So kung magkuan ka sa tubangan ra ka maghuwat-huwaton na nimo siya. So riding a bus. So in riding a bus, the surveillance should board the same bus. So kung metan mo suspect mo sakay sa bus nga kuan sa first trip. So ikaw pod dito po ka sakay sa first trip, di po ka sakay sa second trip kay wala man dito imong kuan. So 4, riding a taxi. So if subject rides a taxi, the shadower should take another taxi and note the plate number and the company name of the subject taxi. So diri magamit nimo ang GPS. So adto dito mag-imo siya you'll note the plate number and adto ka sa imong atuon sa plate number and the company name of the subject taxi. Imo siyang something in-note para imo siyang masundan. So another tactics of techniques and shadowing. So 5, riding a train. So in riding the train, the shadower was fall in line towards the ticket booth behind the subject so that he or she could overhear the destination of her or she could merely request for a timetable or a ticket for the last destination. So dapat gyud daw kung dapat kung nag-ride ano sa tantan sakay mo sa train dapat kay investigate na dapat nagsunod ka sa iyaha. Di ka palayo para makabalo ka kung hapit iyang padulungan. So number 6, inside the restaurant. So number 6, inside the restaurant, sa sulod sa restaurant. Shadower should allow the subject to select a table before entering the restaurant. So dapat gyud kung kabalo na ka nga diha musud ang suspect sa restaurant dapat nanakay ka-contact dito nga diha nanakay ka nang kuan nga table kay basig magtanga-tanga ka tapos masud na dito ang suspect imong gispitugan kasi ikaw nakapasagawas kay wa kay table dapat plan na jud dapat. Number 7, in hotel. Kung sa hotel, the room of the subject could be inquired from the hotel registry. So na din. In a theater, the shadower should be seated behind the subject. So likod sa subject maglingkod ka. 9, inside a private house. So, kung ka sa inside ng private house, the shadower should wait outside at the distance of the inconspicuous taking the address and the occupants to be verified later. So, dapat nandiyo ka ana. So, inside a small private or public office. So, in this part, the shadower must wait outside pretending to be a customer or nearby establishment. So pretend ka nga ikaw mo something applicant anak or customer ana din. Telephone booth. So the shadower may take the next boat or stand near the subject to hear the conversation. So for something chismosa ka ani. So techniques and automobile surveillance. So 1, test or foretailing. When the subject is conscious that he or she is being tailed while about to board a public conveyance, he or she usually jump off the vehicle. So may pa lang dyan lang mutak, wala ka mo, maambak lang dyan nakita ko. Something public conveyance, she or she usually jumps off the vehicle. So use of convoy. So, imo siya sundan. Something ano ba sa convoy mo, convoy mo. The subject employs other partners to detect or she or being tailed. So, do's and don'ts in shadowing through vehicles. So, mga buhatonon o dili buhatonon kung ga shadowing, kung ga, kuan mo, nag-investigate mo, shadowing, investigate, or having investigation nga vehicle. So, one, a popular type or of ordinary or general use type of car must be used so that the license plate are not identified as belonging to the police department. So, ano siya? So, two is security places, colorum cars, rented cars, borrowed cars may be used. So, kinahanglan nga dili jud ka maggamit og katong imong galing sakyanan, dapat imong gamiton kito ra mga colorum nga sakyanan or katong gipang abangan nga current sakyanan or gipang ustan nga sakyanan. For secure kanang mga dili kuan ba nga ikaw nga mao jud na ikaw jud nga mismo jud imong personally jud nga imong buhaton nga ikaw jud ikaw jud ta ni ikaw jud makahasngan sa tanan dapat magamit kag mga fake something ana. The appearance of the cars by various devices may be used to change the appearance. So, do not violate parking rules. So, dapat musunod gyapon ka sa mga rules, especially the parking rules. So, never arouse suspicion by approaching the parking position or surreptitiously. Next, 6. Be in a normal movement when leaving or returning to the car. So, kanang lagi. So, number 7, radio at antennae should be cancelled and radio volume reduced. So dapat radio antennae should be cancelled. So, concealed and radio volume reduced. Gampa or something hinay. And the turnover of ships, avoid the fall in briefing or instructions. Written notes should be turned over to the incoming surveillance. So, dapat kung mag-uli kasi mong ipang-uslan nga mo, pag-gamit mo kung dapat avoid the fall in the briefing. So, basta ka na, something ano. 9. Full data should be turned over incoming surveillance. So ang full data dapat kung napay mo, kung naay something nga mo, musuan na, naay mo, something sunod nga, something investigate, dapat mapasa nimo kung unsa jud ang mga data ano kay para aware po siya kung unsa ang imong gi-investigahan. So avoid using telephone repeatedly from nearby establishment. So dili daw dapat balik-balikon nimo mga cellphone nga paggamit sa imong nanawag ko sa company na something ana. Tapos balik-balikon na klaro na kay nga nagsuspetso jud ato kay balik-balik akong number gigamit or something telephone akong gigamit. So you need to use other telephone or number ba ka or account. So, do not display the appearance of anxiety or impatience, act naturally. So, and do not loiter by reading newspapers in the lobby. If the subject is approaching, glance at him or her briefly in a casual manner. So, mo to siya. And that's all. Thank you.